Hello everyone, Courtney here. Today I'm going to talk about how to respond to a company when they pass on your concept. More importantly, how do you make sure you don't write a defensive response back and continue to leave the book open with them and develop that relationship? Remember, the relationship starts at the no. So, what is our first move then? Welcome to episode number 57. Let's get into it.
Where inventing, passion, and hard work intersect. Welcome to the Serial Inventing Podcast. Bite-sized, perspective-altering episodes on serial inventing and beyond. From motivating key tips on product licensing to obstacle-busting conversations on transitioning to a full-time serial product developer. Buckle your seatbelt, because you're in for a ride. Warning, this podcast may motivate you to make wild decisions that will propel you forward in your inventing career and hijack more of your time for your passion. If you aren't ready to make it happen, then this podcast isn't for you.
One way to think about licensing deals is that companies sign deals with people, not products. If you aren't professional, if you don't respect the company's decisions, and if you don't communicate effectively with them, you won't get a deal no matter how great your product is. You want to be a supporter, not a headache. The relationship comes first. So finally, when we send over the sell sheet and they reply with a no, we think it's over. But we need to remember that if you are a serial inventor, and hopefully you are because you're listening to this podcast, then that means you will be pitching to them many more times, whether soon or in 5 years. We want to make a good impression and keep the energy high. I have been responding to no's left and right since 2016 and started using a mirroring tactic that helped me move the relationship further without also being defensive. It all starts with putting yourself in their shoes. Often companies try to close the book, so to speak, when they give the no, assuming you just have a single idea and that's why you are talking to them, which is often why it feels pretty dry. It feels like they are closing the book because that is what they think the next step is. But here is where the tactic comes in. And though I thought this was called mirroring, I had a student recently mention, who I have taught to use this technique, said that it fits in nicely into something called the imago technique. It's used for different types of therapy, as well as in business, often with unhappy customers. To use it, there are 3 steps: mirroring, validation, and empathy. If I were to, however, change those terms to how we use them, I would call them accepting, agreeing, and action. The 3 A's, if you will. In mirroring/accepting, you are repeating what they said to you, so they understand you are not responding defensively, basically you accepting the no. I always make sure they understand that I have accepted the no in every rejection I get. It lowers the intensity of the conversation and reminds them we are on the same side. Let's say a company replies back to my concept with a pass saying this: "Hi Courtney, thanks for sending us your idea. We have spent some time with it and believe that it is not a right fit for us as we are focusing our strategy on our barbecue line. Thanks." Then I could say this back: "Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass, as my concept doesn't fit the barbecue area. Thanks." In validation/agreeing, your goal is to basically agree with them for the reason for the pass. It is not always used in our case as inventors because the company would need to give specific feedback that proves in their mind why it isn't a fit that you also might be able to help solve. So if you have this scenario, you could ask them a question to confirm back to them what you are hearing, as well as a sentence about potentially solving it. An example of this could be the following. Let's say they write this message to you: "Hi Courtney, thanks for sending us your idea. We have spent some time with it and believe that because it would take up a lot of space in our warehouse and aren't sure if it's a big enough problem being solved for our audience, it is not a right fit for us. Thanks. Then you could say this back. Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass. It sounds like warehouse space is prime and only best for products that have a large market share of your audience. Do you believe that if the concept was able to take up less space in the warehouse and we found that the audience was wanting to solve that problem, the concept would be of interest? Thanks. Now take note here that if they say no, they will often reveal another problem to you, which will be very helpful. And sometimes their next reply is that they don't want any more products in their pipeline, completely irrelevant from what they told you, which is good to know because you might have pitched more ideas if you hadn't known that right then. However, if they say yes, they would be interested, then you don't want to start solving those problems immediately, but send a reply back asking that if you were to do some work on the idea that would solve those problems, would they want to see it again? Because sometimes they say no to that. And if you don't ask that outright in the next email, you will waste a lot of your time. If they say yes, then ask them questions that will help you make a better product for them. That way, you are creating something they actually might want, and they will also feel more a part of the product, upping that chance of a licensing deal. In empathy/action, your goal is to both thank them and ask them a question to continue the relationship. So with the 3 A's in mind, putting it all together, here are my top 5 questions I will choose one from and what I would say after the no. Number 1, ask for feedback. Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass as my concept doesn't fit the barbecue area. To better help my product development, is there any feedback you have that I can utilize in the future for if I have other concepts that might fit your line better? Thanks. I really like this one and I use it a lot, especially because now they know I'm not going away. I want to develop a long-term relationship with them where I will be pitching other ideas to them in the future. 2, ask for companies. Hi Bob, thanks for your time. I understand it is a pass. Do you know of any companies in particular that might be a better fit to help me get an idea of who I should consider pitching to? Thanks. It's amazing how many people will mention their competitors and even companies not on your hit list. Number 3, the wish list method. Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass. As a professional product developer, I am always coming up with ideas for companies I am passionate about. Insert potential compliment about the company here. Do you have a particular wish list or category you are specifically looking for ideas in? Thanks. Number 4, ask if you can submit more ideas. Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass. If I have any future ideas that I believe would fit your product line, can I reach back out? Thanks. This one I rarely use because I can almost always come back and pitch more. Number 5, ask how often they work with inventors. Hi Bob, thanks again for taking a look at the concept. I understand it's a pass. Out of curiosity, how often does name of company license product ideas from inventors? Thanks. This can also be helpful because though you might get a great deal if they have never worked with an inventor before, it can also be such a rare occurrence, even if they get ideas often, that sometimes it's better to work with companies who frequently license. It's a trade-off. Now, if a company gives you specific feedback where they sound like they don't care to solve the problem your product is solving, and you're surprised they wouldn't want that kind of market share at their company, there is a professional way to question their company's focus and give you clarity. If you are interested in that script, in fact, 3 different versions of that script, message me on LinkedIn with the words secret scripts and I'll spill the tea. Check out episode 25 for 2 follow-up scripts you can use as well if you sent the sell sheet and they didn't get back to you. Your task this week is to get a no and use one of these scripts as a reply back. Message me on LinkedIn and tell me how they replied back. Thanks for tuning in and taking a few bites with me today. And remember, serial inventors don't make excuses. They make it happen. See you soon!